The BumbleKast is for entertainment purposes only. The host's comments and opinions, and those of their guests, are wholly their own and do not represent that of any other entity. Content is provided as is, with no guarantees of accuracy or timeliness.
It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Wildcard717.
It's a Drogune Mini. Harlan Ellison, writer for Star Trek and author of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, said, "Science fiction and fantasy is a kind of literature that embodies the highest aspirations of the human race. What highest aspiration are you hoping to convey with Drogune?"
I feel really pretentious saying highest aspirations. Drogune is, at its core, mine. I've spent my career working on licensed material, which is great. I've had a lot of fun. It's opened up a lot of doors. I've learned a lot. No regrets there. But at the end of the day, I'm working on somebody else's property. I am dancing to the tune of other people's expectations. With Drogune, it's mine, more or less. And I hope other people enjoyed. That is the first bar that I want to cross. Is if some people enjoy it when it comes out, I will be happy. If nobody likes it, well, so what? I did it. It's mine. It's out there. It's done. There are, I guess, loftier thoughts behind it, but maybe the key takeaway I want from the whole thing, once it's all said and done, is my own personal philosophy that people are people. You know, we have our cultural differences. We have our different backgrounds, our different circumstances. There's a great deal of nuance to be had from country to country, person to person, experience to experience. I'm not trying to devalue that, but we are all people. We all want to live in peace. We all want to live comfortably, or at the very least, that's all we should aspire for. And that's what I want the takeaway to be, is that, you know, doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what you are. We're all in the same boat. We're all in this together. And losing sight of that causes problems.
Yeah. What would you say are the biggest influences, media or otherwise, for Drogune's stories?
It's kind of a melting pot of everything I've consumed over the years. Stuff that I guess you could say is more on the sleeve: Skies of Arcadia, Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop, my love for Star Wars back in the 80s and early 90s, and how I viewed the property then, growing up on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Deep Space Nine more than anything, and probably 1,000,001 other things that I am not immediately able to think of. But it's it's basically things I like put together. This is my book of things I like in a story that I feel excited to tell. And there it is. And I'm sure folks will be able to go, oh, I see the inspiration from that show or from that comic or from that franchise. And you're probably right, whether it's intentional or whether it's subconscious. But in the end, it's distilled through me. This is, I don't know, readable Ian Moonshine.
Well, at least I don't have to drink it.
Hopefully you don't go blind off it either.
You introduced a plethora of worlds in the universe you created. If you were forced to choose only one of the worlds to set the story, which would you choose and why?
An easier question is, which organ would I like to carve out of my body by myself with no anesthesia? Maybe Ajeheim. I feel like I'm drawn there first. I have a better understanding of that realm more than any other, just kind of off the cuff.
Not Drogunheim? I mean, that's kind of...
Drogunheim is more backstory related.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Like, exploring Drogunheim is a whole can of worms. That is like a spin-off series by itself.
Okay.
Of the active realms within Galaxant, Ajeheim may be first. I mean, I've got a lot understood about Humeheim, but Humeheim is very analogous to the real world in a lot of ways, so that's kind of boring. But because it is the dominant realm within Galaxant, its policies influence all the others. So I kind of have to figure that one out to understand how it affects the others and how they respond in turn. Ajeheim, though, is that one I feel like I've spent a little more time in mentally, but the other ones that I have started to work on, it's like, oh, wouldn't we need to explore this area? And if we're at this point here, how did they get there? Let's unravel it backwards. And then I just get lost in every single individual realm, and I have got like 17 different documents floating around that I need to consolidate and revise.
Alrighty. We've seen the Fortune's Lap in the first run of Drogune. What is your thought process in designing starships? Has the Fortune's Lap changed at all in the reboot?
Yes, and this one was more led by Adam. Because initially, Fortune's Lap and a lot of the ships were more whimsical airships, kind of your traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
But working on it and thinking about it, Drogune technology is the fundamental blueprint that all of the species are kind of coming from. And so that design aspect influences what they come up with. And for the crew of Fortune's Lab specifically, because we have 2 actual Drogune on it, it makes more sense for their ship to look more reminiscent of their heritage. So Adam redesigned it to be a little more, I hate to say sci-fi because it doesn't look like any actual functioning spaceship, but it's a little more grounded compared to the airship of before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You'll see it. You be the judge. You can say, oh, no, that's completely fanciful. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Or you can say, no, I can see where you're coming from. It looks a little more sophisticated. And I go, yep, you're right on the money. You're both right. All of you are right. I don't care. Read the book.
Everyone's right. Science fantasy. Would that be kind of what you're thinking of? Like a fantasy.
And we're actually going to get to that a little further down the list.
Like an actual fantasy, but also sci-fi. A little bit of sci-fi in there. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. You've written science fiction, Transformers, Mega Man, Cosmo the Mighty Martian, Sonic, and fantasy, Young Salem, My Little Pony, and Dungeons of Ether. Most would categorize Drogune as a less mainstream genre science fantasy, a futuristic setting with a magic system or similar. Why did you decide to go the mixed route instead of saying strictly fantasy or science fiction?
I like the benefits of both.
Mm-hmm.
Science fiction, or hard sci-fi at least, has rules to it. It's based off of our current understanding of science and physics and math and whatever, and it extrapolates what could be within a certain degree of realism. Depends on how hard your sci-fi is. I mean, early Star Trek was supposed to be pretty hard, and then it got a little wibbly wobbly down the line, but it's actually been kind of predictive in some ways as well.
Yeah.
But with that comes restrictions. Like, one of the things I hate about where Star Wars took a turn with the prequels onward, and honestly to a degree the extended universe, the old extended universe, was people started to apply sci-fi to what was very heavily science fantasy. You have these ships the size of city blocks, you have completely non-aerodynamic designs, you have space wizards with laser swords. It's science fantasy.
Yeah.
But then you get your midichlorians and you get your kyber crystals and you get your biology indexes and your companies and how these twin ion engines are actually functioning. And it gets harder and harder to hand wave stuff. It becomes, okay, how does this literally function? And I find that constraining.
Yeah.
Because then you go, okay, well, you can't do the Kessel Run parsecs because that's a measure of distance, not time. And I hate the semantics. Just let the giant walking carpet sample go and be happy with it. Meanwhile, with fantasy, you have it's wide open because it is fantasy. It's magic. You can have a myriad of sentient races and you don't have to worry about the evolutionary line or how that even makes sense. You can have trees grow from nothing. You can have lightning from the skies or fireballs from your fingertips. You can do whatever you want because it's fantasy. It's not bound by anything necessarily. But because of that, it really is hard to nail down the stakes of it. If any old wizard can crack open a book and go bippity boppity boom and throw magic and win the day, who cares? If I'm trying to create this system of cultures and species and realms and it's too loosey-goosey, then it's hard to follow along. Why doesn't any one realm rise above the other? Why are any of the cultures the way they are? Why does Galaxant rule? How is it able to rule? There needs to be structure in place so that you can't just say, a wizard does it. The magic needs to be constrained so that there are stakes, so that there are limitations and consequences of what you do. It's what makes the Drogune special, because they are on a completely different level with their magical manifestations than the rest of everyone else. It's why they're godlike. If everyone can pull magic out of their butt, the Drogune are nothing. So everything is a system of feeding into itself of what needs what necessitates the other thing. So that's the science fantasy. It's the structure and the thought processes of science fiction with the whimsy and the freedom of fantasy.
All right. You've talked about the difficulties of writing an ensemble cast in comics before. What, if anything, has been difficult about writing the cast of Drogune, and how were you able to work through it?
One of the biggest things I grappled with was Lissy's role in the group, was when Lissy joins the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because what she brings to the other three is a warmth and a growth that changes their dynamic. So if you start in media res, you kind of miss that growth. But to see that organically unfold over time really pushes the main narrative back a significant portion. I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to get to, but it wouldn't make sense or couldn't happen yet because Lizzie wasn't part of the crew yet, really. And with all that I want to do, I don't have time to do all that. So the biggest, most painful cut I had to do was jump forward and just say, okay, Lizzie's part of the crew. This is their dynamic. And you can kind of see how Wind and Foreign and Jobun interact with each other, and then how they interact with Lissy or around Lissy. And I think you can infer what she is doing with their dynamic without having to go through and show it from point A to point B.
Right.
The other challenge is I love all of these guys so much. I want them all to have their own story. Like it's really Wind's story primarily. It is her journey. It is her meeting with adversity and how she deals with it from book to book to book to book. But Foreign has enough to have his own story. Foreign could be his own standalone protagonist.
Oh, yeah.
And the joke of Jobun is he seems so simple on the surface, but he has got a crazy, crazy backstory that he doesn't care about.
Right.
That has no bearing on the principal story. So, and I would love to explore that, but we got to get that first book out. But with an ensemble cast, I think there's a magic number that you can fit to that makes it work. If you get too large of a cast, you get distracted with who is the lead, who is driving the narrative, and how do you find enough time for everybody. And if it's too small of a cast, then it's not really an ensemble anymore.
Yeah.
With these four, and especially with Lissy, who is primarily more of a supporting character at this juncture, I think there's a nice interplay between them all that once I got to know who they were and what their dynamics were, it just kind of became natural. And it was more of me kind of just sitting in the back and writing down what they're saying to each other as the day goes on.
Yeah, I'd say it's like 4 or 5 is probably about that sweet spot. That tends to be where things mostly fall. You get any bigger than that, and it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot of plates. If you were to pitch Drogune as a video game, what type of game, FPS, RPG, fighting, etc., would you want to pitch it as, and why?
I want all the games!
Uh-huh.
Like,
pick one.
The one that I am workshopping in this mad thought that I'll have a budget and time to actually see this through is a kind of Mass Effect styled
How did
RPG.
I guess? How did I guess?
It's a great way to explore the realms.
My first thought was like, he's going to say Mass Effect, I bet.
There's one premise I have in mind that's more or less Halo, first-person shooter where you play some big mamma jamma that fits into a certain point within the timeline.
Yep.
And mostly because I want to go back to that Halo 1, Halo 2 style of gameplay where it's not completely up its own butt and it's just about running and shooting and having fun, not trying to reinvent the wheel. Just make the shoot gun go bang and have fun with it. You don't need 17 different functions or 4 grenade types or whatever. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Have an idea for a game that's basically Thief meets Arkham Asylum, where you play an enchanty thief and you have the stealth and the mobility, but it's not meant to be confrontational. If you get in a fight, it's more about subduing or evading your attacker and moving on so that you can get away. But with those big sweeping set pieces, so you can sneaky, and being enchanted, you can flit and fly to the higher vantage points and move around. So I don't know if it would work because I'm no game developer, but I think that's a neat enough twist on the idea. I'd like to see it through. I would love to do a Fire Emblem style strategic game, specifically placed during the Century campaign as Arcturus first unifies Humaheim and then moves on to the greater Galaxant to explore who he is and the path there. And something I keep getting hung up on is a lot of these game ideas explore the world in neat ways, but you're usually playing as like the bad guys. You're playing as the marshals or you're playing as the Galaxant forces, and it's like, I don't want to like make you cheer for the bad guys, but that's part of the history of the realms, and that's where some of the fun is. I know Adam said he would love to see a Muso style game, and it's like, yep, set that in like the first age as the Drogune are moving across the realms for the first time, because you want to have a reason for everyone to be just over the top, bombastic, crazy badass, and that's what the Drogune are. Yeah. So yeah, give me that Muso action. You could do a TIE Fighter versus X-Wing type of thing. You could do that's the thing with Drogune, man. The world is so large. There's so many options. You could do a bloody Subnautica clone on Normanheim. There's so much I want to do with this. I do not have the time or the budget to do this.
Well, hopefully someday, once Drogune takes off, we can start looking into games.
Get that one book, man. First the book.
Fingers crossed. I know. Fingers crossed.
Oh, never mind the collectible card game that I like drafted up. That'll never see the light of day.
I'm more likely than you think on that front anyway. We'll see. Drogune Outlaw was a spin-off of the original Drogune. What is the history of that side story, and will those characters ever be revisited?
That was a panic project. Shonen Jump had a 100th anniversary event where you could submit your manga to be published if you won. And so Adam and I rushed out an idea. It's only 20 pages. We worked incredibly fast on it, and it was meant to be its own concept so that if it took off, mainline Drogune wouldn't get sidelined. It didn't take off. It didn't go anywhere, but I like a lot of the concepts to it. It's about a Hume boy named Ambrew who has a mysterious bracelet of runestones that can do all sorts of crazy magic. That doesn't make sense within the context of the world, but it does in my head. And you'll find out why if I ever get around to it. He's rescued by an enchanty named Echo, and they're on the run from these really spooky robed individuals known as the Inquisitors, who have a very personal vendetta against Ambrew. And the whole thing is a big setup for what would have been a larger story. And I would like to revisit it. I think with it, because it was only the one installment and we did it so fast, I might want to just kind of scrap it and start over. Same principle idea. Ambrew's on the run. He meets Echo and they go on wild adventures. There is problems following them, but where it takes place in the timeline and how it affects the central story, or how it affects Wynn's story, haven't really settled on just yet. There may be other opportunities or avenues to explore with it as well. There is a door that is kind of open that I might knock on in the near-ish future. I don't know. We'll see. But Ambru's story is something I would like to tell, but it is not the priority right now. It's Wind first. First book's got to get out there first.
First one, come on. What's been the most rewarding thing about writing Drogune so far, and is there anything you'd want to tell fans of the series to look forward to?
Getting it done. With our first approach, we were taking it as a web comic. Page by page, slowly build interest, slowly build the narrative, see where it goes. And that was fine and all, but by the time we reached around the 70-page mark, we hadn't made the kind of headway that I wanted. Like, looking at how far and how much I wanted to cover, it's like, we're not going to be done with this until the heat death of the universe. And Adam was also finding the visual language for it throughout. So the style is inconsistent from page 1 to page 70. So it's like, all right, we need to start over. We need to take the fundamentals and rework it into a better, more concise story. And we did. It is now 80 pages, doing more in those 80 than we did in the 2 years and 70 pages before. So it is satisfying to do that. And as of this recording, book 2 is written. Like, it's done. I've gone over it twice now, and it's like, no, all I'm doing is like changing individual words. It's done. I finished it. And having that next installment done is satisfying. And knowing where 3 and 4 go and where the whole thing goes, it's nice to be able to hold this in my hands, metaphorically speaking, and say, this is mine. This is something I am making. This is my world, my universe, warts and all. And I'm content with that. To get people excited for it, I'm terrible at sales pitches. Let's be honest.
So am I, which is why this next question is worrying me.
But it's something fresh. It's something new. It's something done not for profit or for chasing trends. It is literally made for the love of the art. It is a story told not for any particular reason other than I like to tell stories. And if that sounds boring, I completely understand. But if that sounds exciting to you because it's not, we're chasing this trend or we're trying to get all the eyes on it, it's just something that is made so it can be. If that purity of intent rings true to you, then I think you'll enjoy it. Also, if you like talking rock people and snarky dog squirrel people in spaceships that fly between islands that are suspended in toxic goo, if you like laser guns that run on magic, if you like little girls who are just absolute cinnamon rolls of the purest of light, if you like snarky badasses that have swords that look like they should probably get their own tetanus warning, you're going to like Drogune. It's just wild. And I am enjoying it.
Well, good. I'd hope you were at least enjoying it. That would be weird if you didn't. And this next one is a question for me.
It is, Kyle. Ian has hired you to be the hype man / advisor for Drogune. Give us your best radio promotion of it and tell us where we can find it.
Okay. I mean, you kind of sold it with, badass, snarky people with laser sword or with tetanus swords, with all sorts of other stuff. So I'm kind of at a loss here. Do you like comics? Do you like comics about space? Do you like comics about cool characters in space in science fantasy universes? Head on over to Drogune.com and check out Drogune, the latest from Ian Flynn. I know him from his other work, usually with blue heroes. I don't think this one's blue so much this time.
She wears blue.
She wears some blue. Yeah, that's true.
It's inescapable.
I know. Go check it out. Drogune.com or patreon.com/Drogune. All right. And we got one last question. This is bonus question. How are the cats?
Ridiculous, but they're good. Malikata is calming down a little bit, I think. But
still a little chompy, though, from what I understand.
Still a little bitey.
Yeah.
Still likes to sing opera when she uses the litter box or gets lost walking 3 steps forward or sees something that no one else can see. But she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And our little Meebo just turned 1 year old.
Oh.
He's gotten to be big. He's bigger than Molly now.
Uh-oh. Does he act like it? No.
I don't think he quite knows his size yet.
No, I can imagine he does not.
And it's hard to say if he's being too rough when they roughhouse, because Molly's tactic in any kind of confrontation is to roll on her back and scream, whether she's being touched or not. So
that's fun.
But he is a very snuggly boy, and we love him. So they're good.
Okay. And that's all we got.
Thank you to Wildcard717 for this wonderful, insightful, brilliantly worded BumbleKast Mini. If you want one of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Take care, everybody.